has been dumped again by her agent this time, who just so happens to be the most powerful agent in all of Hollywood. The dude that the TV series Entourage was based on, Ari Emanuel. And there have been rumors about this for months.
There is a name in Hollywood that opens every door. A name that can make or break a career with a single phone call. Ari Emanuel. The man so powerful, so deeply wired into the entertainment industry that the hit HBO series Entourage built an entire character around him. If you have Ari Emanuel in your corner, you are serious. You are a player. You matter. Meghan Markle no longer has Ari Emanuel in her corner.
Harry, making only $50,000 for his paid speeches. Now, trust me, for me or for you, we would be like, we are in the money. But if you're Prince Harry and you're paying for private jets and you're paying for security, that's not enough to keep you afloat.
For months, whispers have been circling through the entertainment press that Meghan had quietly parted ways with WME, William Morris Endeavor, one of the most prestigious and feared talent agencies on the planet. And for months, sources connected to the Sussex camp have been pushing back, denying it, insisting the relationship was intact, that everything was fine, that the rumors were just another attempt to take her down. But investigative journalist Alison Boshoff, editor-at-large at the Daily Mail, has done a forensic deep dive into the Sussex operation, using something as simple as an Easter Sunday video as her starting point. And what she uncovered tells a story that no amount of spin can easily undo.
Writing, so what in the name of bunny ears is going on? A California source told me around 3 weeks ago that Meghan is settling on her next direction, and that the new pivot, gosh, what are we at now? About 100, will be leaning into what she calls her greatest and most relatable role as a mother. Now, again, I don't know about you. I think there's absolutely nothing relatable about Meghan.
Let's start with the Easter video, because it's where everything begins. Meghan posted footage of her children, Archie and Lilibet, celebrating the holiday. On the surface, that sounds perfectly normal, completely harmless. But those who watched it closely came away with a strange feeling. Two children largely alone in what amounts to a vast gilded compound. No warmth, no chaos, no sense of an actual family Easter morning. Just two small figures in an enormous, silent space that felt less like a home and more like a stage set. And the closer observers looked, the more questions they had. Lilibet's hair and appearance seemed to shift noticeably between clips. Her size relative to her older brother Archie seemed inconsistent in ways that were hard to explain. Small details, yes, but in a world where every frame Meghan releases is curated, calculated, and controlled to the last pixel, small details matter. But it was the bigger picture that Boshoff focused on. Because these videos weren't just content, they were the opening move in Meghan's next pivot. And yes, pivot. Because we've been here before, haven't we? First, it was the grand return to Hollywood, then the Netflix docuseries, then Spotify, then the lifestyle brand, then the Jam. Now, according to sources with direct knowledge of her plans, Meghan is pivoting once again, this time into the momfluencer space. A California insider told Boshoff that Meghan has been workshopping this new direction for weeks. The strategy is to lean fully into what she describes as her most meaningful and most relatable role, being a mother. And on paper, you can see the logic. The influencer economy around motherhood is enormous. Billions of dollars flow through that space annually. Women with far less profile than Meghan have built empires on the back of school-run content and kitchen table moments. The problem, of course, is the word relatable. This is a woman raising her children in a multi-million-dollar compound in Montecito, surrounded by a rotating fleet of nannies. A woman whose last attempt at a lifestyle brand, the much-hyped as ever, previously known as American Riviera Orchard, generated enormous publicity and almost no commercial traction. Netflix, which had invested heavily in the Sussex brand, quietly downgraded its deal. Spotify walked away entirely after the Archetypes podcast failed to find its footing. And the kitchen tips content, according to insiders close to her circle, simply isn't landing. As one source put it bluntly, nobody wants to pay for her kitchen tips. But there's a deeper contradiction sitting right at the heart of this mommy pivot. Because the man she is married to, Prince Harry, has made children's online safety one of his signature causes. He has spoken passionately, emotionally, and very publicly about the dangers of posting your children on social media. He has sat alongside parents of teenagers lost to online harms. He has lobbied governments. He has made this personal. And now his wife is planning to build her next commercial venture on the back of posting their children, particularly Lilibet, on Instagram and across her social media platforms. The message Harry has spent years sending to the world is that exposing your children to social media is dangerous. The message Meghan is now sending is, I need the revenue stream. And make no mistake, the revenue is desperately needed. Both of them. Private jets, private security, a Montecito estate, a full household operation. The lifestyle they have built doesn't run cheap, and the commercial deals that were supposed to sustain it have been falling away one by one. Which brings us to Australia. Harry and Meghan traveled to Australia, ostensibly for a combination of charitable work and paid engagements. On the charitable side, they plan to visit the Invictus Games Australian team and meet with politicians who backed Australia's controversial social media ban for under-16s, the same ban that attracted fierce debate about government overreach and freedom of expression. Convenient positioning for a couple trying to rehabilitate their image on multiple fronts simultaneously. But it's the paid side that reveals just how much financial pressure the Sussexes are operating under right now. Harry was booked to appear at the Invictus Summit, a for-profit symposium on psychological safety in the workplace in Melbourne. A couple of things are worth noting here. First, Harry was a replacement. The original speaker had to withdraw following his own Me Too controversy, meaning Harry was, quite literally, the backup option. Second, despite tickets having been on sale for nearly a month before the event, the summit had still not sold out. Gold-level tickets were priced at just under 2,000 Australian dollars, platinum closer to 2,500. Capacity was set at 250 people. And even at those numbers, with those ticket prices, the event couldn't fill the room. A new, cheaper tier of tickets had to be quietly introduced to try to drum up attendance. Harry himself is expected to have received a pre-negotiated fee in the region of $50,000 regardless of ticket sales. But the optics are brutal. This is a man who was once second in line to one of the most powerful thrones on earth, now filling in for a disgraced speaker at an underattended business conference in Melbourne. As Boshoff noted in her piece, if you were feeling unkind, you could observe that Harry has gone from being Prince William's spare to being Meghan's. His friends, people who have known him for years, have reportedly been saying this privately for a long time. They are struggling to reconcile the man they knew with the figure now orbiting his wife's brand strategy. Meanwhile, Meghan herself was booked for a fireside chat at Her Best Life, a women-only luxury retreat in Australia. Events of this type, in the influencer and wellness space, are highly lucrative. The pivot to the mommy brand and the relatability angle feeds directly into this market. She has been careful to frame herself in recent interviews as a woman who, despite her circumstances, is just another working mother, doing school runs, filling lunchboxes, cooking meals for children who adore her. But the retreat's promotional push told a different story. Rather than a sold-out, in-demand event, the organizers were posting increasingly desperate appeals, releasing additional hotel rooms, introducing solo accommodation options, and using language that read less like scarcity marketing and more like a sincere plea for anyone to please come. The organizers had previously insisted the event was sold out. It wasn't. And the gap between what the Sussex camp says and what is actually happening has become one of the defining characteristics of their operation. If you've been following this story for a while and wondering how we got here so fast, you're not alone. And if you want to keep hearing stories like this one told in full, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the bell. There's a lot more coming. Now let's talk about WME, because this is where the real story lives. WME, William Morris Endeavor, is not just any talent agency. It represents some of the biggest names in global entertainment. It has the kind of institutional muscle that protects its clients from bad press, brokers deals that wouldn't otherwise exist, and keeps inconvenient stories out of print. When you have WME, you have armor. According to a well-placed insider at the agency, the split with Meghan came down to something remarkably petty. And also, if you know anything about how Meghan operates, completely unsurprising. Around Thanksgiving 2023, Meghan apparently expected WME staff to be fully available to her during the holiday. When they weren't, because it was Thanksgiving, one of America's most significant family holidays, she lost patience. She complained that she was having to manage everything herself. She demanded the kind of coverage that even WME, an agency built for the highest maintenance talent in the world, Blake Lively, major film stars, global icons, apparently found excessive. And WME drew a line. Their staff deserved a Thanksgiving. That was apparently too much to accept. And so, quietly, the relationship ended. Now, here's where the layers of deception start to accumulate. When the New York Post reported on the split back in February of last year, both WME and Sussex sources immediately denied it. It was rubbish, misinformation, more attacks, more fabrications from people who want to tear her down. That was the line. But as Boshoff's source points out, the denial was carefully worded. Sources claimed WME was still involved with Meghan. But still involved doesn't mean there's a current contract. It doesn't mean there's an active professional relationship. It's the kind of language you choose when you need to technically avoid lying while not telling the truth. And the significance of losing WME at this precise moment in Meghan's career cannot be overstated. As one well-placed Hollywood insider told Boshoff, there is no way the damaging Variety piece about Meghan's fallout with Netflix would ever have run if WME was still in her corner. Ari Emanuel doesn't just manage talent, he manages narratives. He has the kind of relationships with editors, publishers, and media power brokers that make unflattering stories go away before they ever reach print. Without him, Meghan is exposed, and the losses keep stacking up. Spotify, gone. Netflix, downgraded from an all-in partnership to something far more limited. WME, gone. The pattern is impossible to ignore at this point. Each of these organizations invested serious resources and serious money into the Sussex brand. Each of them walked away, not because of a single incident, but because the pattern of behavior, the impossible demands, the inability to focus, the scattergun approach to strategy, the gap between the persona and the reality made the relationship untenable. Back in London, the Sussex team itself has been stripped down to almost nothing. When Harry and Meghan undertook their first official royal tour of Australia in 2018, they traveled with 4 PRS, 2 private secretaries, a PA, a hairdresser, a stylist, and additional local logistics staff, 11 people in total managing their operation. For this Australia trip, they had 4, a chief of staff each, 1 PR, and a single representative from the Archewell Foundation. The PR chief, who resigned last November, Meredith Maines, departed after the Kris Jenner birthday party controversy. According to sources, she had specifically advised Meghan not to request that photos from the party be removed from social media after it emerged the celebration had taken place the night before Remembrance Sunday. Meghan reportedly ignored that advice. Maines left. It's a pattern that keeps repeating itself. Advisors, agents, PRS, executives, all walking away, all telling variations of the same story. And then, there's the personal dimension. Photographs emerged of Harry on a skiing holiday, looking more relaxed, more genuinely joyful than he has appeared in public in years. There was a gold medal-winning athlete in those pictures. Glamorous, successful. Someone who by all accounts moves in the kind of high-profile social circles that the prince clearly still enjoys. What was notably absent from those pictures? Any trace of Meghan. She posted video of Archie skiing, as if to signal her presence on the trip, but she appeared in none of the photographs. The athlete in question, meanwhile, appeared in photos with Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry, a fairly high-profile social record of who was actually there. Meghan was not visible anywhere. Royal biographer Angela Levin, examining the situation closely, observed that Harry simply looks different when his wife is not around. Lighter, more at ease, less like a man walking on eggshells. And then there was the Patrick J. Adams episode, which tells you almost everything you need to know about how Meghan manages her relationships. Adams, Meghan's closest co-star on Suits for 7 years, appeared on a podcast where the conversation turned to whether he and Meghan had stayed in touch. The result was painfully awkward. He couldn't clearly recall receiving a handwritten note from her, couldn't confirm recent contact, seemed to dance carefully around the reality that they had largely drifted apart. He talked about jam, Meghan's famous gifted jam, in the slightly dazed way people talk about objects they've preserved because they're not quite sure what else to do with them. Reading between the lines was not difficult. What was striking, though, was what happened next. Because despite being someone who insists she never reads press coverage, never pays attention to criticism, never lets the noise get to her, Meghan apparently saw the clip almost immediately, and she responded in the most transparent way imaginable. She went to the comments on Instagram to let Patrick and his wife know that Jam was on its way. She sent love to their 3 children. She made sure everyone could see her doing it. This, Angela Levin noted, is the speed at which Meghan moves when she senses damage. And the speed is impressive. But so is the transparency of the motive. Patrick Adams, who co-starred with her for years, apparently no longer occupies the tier of celebrity that Meghan needs to be publicly associated with. He didn't fit the new brand. And so, the relationship faded. Until the podcast reminded everyone that it had faded, at which point, Jam was on its way. What you are watching, across all of these stories, is the steady collapse of a brand that was built on a foundation that was never quite solid. The Sussex operation launched with extraordinary momentum. The Royal Connection, the Netflix deal, the Spotify deal, the WME partnership, the global media attention. Every door was open. Every platform was available. Every investor was interested. And one by one, each of those doors has quietly closed. The talent agent who was so powerful they made him into a television character, gone over a Thanksgiving argument. The streaming deal that was supposed to be the anchor of her Hollywood reinvention, downgraded. The podcast that was meant to establish her as a serious cultural voice, canceled. The lifestyle brand, struggling to find traction despite a relaunch. The Australian tour, sold not quite as sold out as advertised. And through all of it, the same pattern. The denials, the damage control comments, the carefully worded statements that are technically defensible but functionally dishonest. The insistence that everything is fine, that the critics are wrong, that the story being told about her is a fabrication, right up until the moment the next story breaks and the same cycle begins again. People on social media, and audiences are smarter about this than they're ever given credit for, are remarkably good at detecting inauthenticity. You can script your Instagram grid, you can control the lighting and the angles and the captions, but you cannot manufacture genuine warmth. You cannot fake the look on a man's face when he is, for once, actually happy. And that picture of Harry on the ski slopes, relaxed, laughing, completely at ease, said more about the state of the Sussex marriage than any carefully crafted Easter video ever could. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think there's any version of this story where the Sussex brand turns it around? Because I genuinely want to know what you think. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now and share this with someone who follows the royal story. Because this one is far from over.